In June 1977, during what would be Elvis's final Indianapolis performance, the king did something that stopped 24,000 people mid-breath and brought grown men to tears. When he spotted a dying fan in the front row, Elvis removed his most precious possession, his iconic TCB necklace, and what happened next created the most powerful 60 seconds in entertainment history. But why did this single act of compassion become the moment that revealed who Elvis truly was behind the legend? The crimson velvet curtains hang like blood against the darkness, heavy with the weight of 3 decades. Beyond them, 24,000 voices create a low, expectant hum that vibrates through the concrete and steel of Market Square Arena in Indianapolis. It's June 26, 1977, and the humid Indiana air outside hangs thick with summer heat. But inside this temple of entertainment, anticipation crackles like electricity before a storm. The massive arena has become a cathedral of devotion, its walls witnesses to countless nights of musical communion between a man and his faithful. Elvis stands in the wings, his white Mexican sundial jumpsuit catching fragments of stage light that leak through the curtain's edge like celestial fingers reaching into the darkness. Sequins and studs trace lightning bolts across his chest, each one a small mirror reflecting a fractured version of the man who once changed the world with a swivel of his hips. The jumpsuit, weighing nearly 30 pounds with its elaborate beadwork and rhinestone constellations, feels both like armor and a burial shroud tonight. His breathing comes shallow and quick, not from nerves those died somewhere in the thousands of performances before this one, but from a deeper truth. His body whispers that his mind refuses to hear. The backstage area buzzes with the familiar pre-show ritual. Roadies make final adjustments to equipment that gleams under harsh work lights. The Jordanaires warm up their voices in harmonies that have backed him for decades, their sounds weaving through the air like incense. Charlie Hodge tunes his guitar with the precision of a man who knows that tonight every note must be perfect. But beneath this practiced choreography of preparation, there's an undercurrent of unease, a tension that speaks to endings rather than beginnings. The TCB necklace rests against his chest, the lightning bolt pendant warm from his skin and heavy with accumulated history, taking care of business. The motto that once meant revolution now feels like a promise he's struggling to keep, each letter of those 3 initials carrying the burden of responsibilities that stretch far beyond this stage. His fingers trace the familiar contours of the pendant, this talisman that has seen him through Memphis recording sessions where he redefined American music, Hollywood sound stages where he learned to act with his whole body, and countless nights under these same unforgiving spotlights that have watched him transform from a young rebel into something approaching mythology. Beyond the curtain, the crowd's energy builds to a crescendo that threatens to shake the building's foundation. Thousands of devoted fans who have traveled from every corner of America and beyond, some mortgaging their homes for this moment, some making pilgrimages they've saved for years to afford, others arriving on hope and borrowed money because they sensed this might be their last chance. They fill every seat, every aisle, every possible space where a human body can fit. They don't know they're about to witness history's final chapter. They don't know that tonight, an event will unfold that will strip away every layer of performance, every carefully constructed piece of the Elvis mythology, to reveal the beating heart of the man beneath the legend. The band strikes the opening chord, and Elvis feels that familiar surge, part terror, part ecstasy, that has defined his relationship with the stage for 23 years. But tonight, there's another force threading through his consciousness, a premonition that dances at the edge of his awareness like a shadow cast by an unseen light. Tonight feels like an ending and a beginning, wrapped into one impossible moment, a cosmic crescendo that will define not just this performance, but the very essence of who he has become, and who he has always been beneath the rhinestones and the myth. The burden of the crown has never felt heavier than it does in these final months. Elvis moves through his Graceland mansion like a ghost haunting his own life, the walls lined with gold records that feel more like headstones marking the death of the boy from Tupelo who once dreamed of buying his mama a house. The pills, those faithful companions that promise rest but deliver only deeper exhaustion, rattle in their amber bottles like dice in a cosmic game he can't stop playing. Colonel Parker's demands echo through phone calls that come at all hours. Always the same refrain. More shows, more money, more performances to feed the machine that has consumed the man it was built to serve. The financial pressures mount like storm clouds, divorce settlements, employee salaries, the endless hunger of an estate that devours money faster than even Elvis Presley can earn it. Every morning brings new contracts, new obligations, new reasons why he cannot rest even when his body screams for mercy. In the mirror of his dressing room, Elvis sees a stranger wearing his face. The features have grown soft and bloated, the aftermath of medications meant to keep him functioning and performing when nature intended him to stop. His jumpsuit, specially tailored to accommodate his changing body, feels like armor against a world that still expects him to be the lean, dangerous rebel who once scandalized Ed Sullivan's television show. But beneath the beaded fabric and rhinestones beats the heart of a man who has forgotten how to exist without an audience, who measures his worth in decibel levels of screaming fans. The lightning bolt pendant has become more than jewelry. It's a lifeline to the person he was before the world decided who he should be. Taking care of business once meant taking care of his music, his art, his responsibility to push boundaries and challenge conventions. Now it means simply surviving each performance, giving these pilgrims what they've traveled so far to receive, even when he has nothing left to give but muscle memory and the fading echo of his former power. Tonight's crowd represents more than ticket sales. They represent countless individual stories of connection, infinite reasons why he cannot simply walk away from the stage that has defined him since he was 19 years old. Some have been following his career since those first Sun Records sessions, aging alongside him through decades of music and mythology. Others are discovering him for the first time, drawn by legends they've heard whispered like prayers. Each face in that vast sea of humanity carries expectations he fears he can no longer meet. The irony cuts deeper than any critic's review. The man who gave the world permission to move their bodies freely now moves through life in invisible shackles. The voice that once promised endless tomorrows now struggles to believe in making it through tonight. Yet an element in his spirit, an unquenchable flame that neither pills nor pain nor the gravity of legend can extinguish, still burns bright enough to light up thousands of faces. And in 2 hours, that flame will encounter a moment destined to determine whether Elvis Presley the man can still surprise Elvis Presley the legend. The opening notes of My Way fill the cavernous space like a prayer, and Elvis moves across the stage with the measured grace of a man who has performed this song 1,000 times before. But tonight, a magnetic force pulls his attention downward, toward the front row where the brilliant spotlights create a harsh boundary between performer and audience. There, pressed against the barrier, sits a man in a wheelchair, his countenance gaunt and pale as moonlight, an oxygen tank standing sentinel beside him like a mechanical guardian angel. He can't be more than 50, but his eyes hold the weight of someone who has stared into the abyss and seen it staring back. His friends flank his wheelchair, their faces etched with the desperate hope of people who have orchestrated a miracle just to be here tonight. One holds his shoulder, while another adjusts a blanket across his legs with the tender precision of practiced caregivers. Michael's gaze never wavers, and in that look, Elvis sees a truth that stops his voice mid-verse. The band continues for a few beats, muscle memory carrying them forward while their leader stands frozen center stage. Charlie Hodge glances over from his guitar, concern flickering across his features. The backup singers exchange worried looks. But Elvis sees only this fragile soul, this determined spirit who has somehow managed to make it to the front row of his final Indianapolis performance, and the universe tilts on its axis. Without conscious thought, his trembling hands move to his throat, to the TCB necklace that has been his constant companion through triumph and tragedy. The lightning bolt pendant feels heavier than it ever has, weighted with the gravity of this instant that no one saw coming. The sea of humanity begins to sense that an unplanned moment is unfolding, the collective energy shifting from entertainment to anticipation to reverence itself. Elvis steps to the edge of the stage, and the distance between performer and audience collapses. Michael's oxygen-starved breath comes in small, quick gasps, but his eyes never leave Elvis's face. His friends lean in, whispering urgent encouragement, their voices lost in the vastness of Market Square Arena. One of them holds up a sign, hastily scrawled in shaking letters, "Last wish, to see the king." The words hit Elvis like a physical blow, and suddenly the harsh glare feels less like illumination and more like the harsh fluorescence of a hospital room. He's been here before, in different forms: the hospital visits, the charity concerts, the moments when his fame became a vehicle for greater purpose than entertainment. But this feels different. This feels final. His shaking fingers work at the clasp of the necklace, and the entire crowd holds its collective breath. The lightning bolt, that symbol of his philosophy, his identity, his last connection to the man he was before he became a myth, slides free from his neck with the whisper of gold against skin. The arena falls so quiet that the mechanical wheeze of the oxygen tank becomes audible, a rhythmic reminder of mortality in a place built for immortality. Elvis kneels at the edge of the stage, bringing himself down to eye level with Michael, and the gesture transforms the king into a man. His treasured possession dangles from his grasp like a sacred offering, catching the blazing illumination one final time before he leans forward to place it gently around Michael's neck. Michael's gasp of surprise becomes a sob, and suddenly everyone present understands they are witnessing an event destined to transcend this evening, beyond this building, beyond the boundaries of performance itself. The precious gift settles against Michael's chest with the gravity of transferred dreams, and Elvis remains kneeling at the stage's edge, eye level with this stranger, who has become the most important person in the room. His name is Michael. He learns in their whispered exchange. Michael Rodriguez, a man from California, who spent his last dollars to make this pilgrimage. His friends weep openly now, understanding that they are witnessing their friend receive treasure more precious than any medicine. Elvis grasps his palms in his own, these weathered digits that have held microphones and movie contracts and the dreams of millions, now embracing this dying man with infinite tenderness. The massive audience fades into background silence as he begins to sing, not to them, but to him, his voice stripped of all performance and artifice. "Love Me Tender" emerges as barely more than a whisper, intimate as a bedside conversation, each note a gift from one human soul to another. Michael's tears flow freely, but his smile transforms his features into radiance itself. The oxygen tank continues its mechanical breathing beside his wheelchair, but for these precious moments, it seems like he's breathing purely on the strength of this connection. Elvis's voice, legendary for filling stadiums, now exists only in the space between two people who have found each other across the vast divide between performer and audience, between the living and the dying. One by one, voices from the crowd begin to join in, tentatively at first, then with growing strength, as a multitude of voices become a single instrument of love. The song swells beyond the confines of performance into religious experience. Grown men wipe away tears without shame. Mothers hold their children closer. Couples reach for each other's hands across armrests and find connection in this moment of witnessed grace. When the last note fades, Elvis remains at his level, and Michael whispers words meant only for his ears. Gratitude, perhaps, or blessing, or simply the recognition that passes between two souls who understand that some moments exist outside the boundaries of ordinary time. He touches the man's forehead with the gentleness of a father, and when he finally rises, everything has transformed, not just in him, but in everyone who has been privileged to witness this exchange. The rest of the concert unfolds like a celebration, but the energy has been transformed. Every song becomes a gift, every gesture an offering of love rather than a demand for adoration. Elvis moves across the stage with renewed purpose, understanding that his greatest performance was not singing or dancing or commanding attention, but kneeling beside a wheelchair and giving away the thing he treasured most. Michael would keep that TCB necklace until his death 3 months later, and his family would bury it with him, returning the lightning bolt to whatever realm produces miracles. But those who witnessed that night would carry the story forward like torchbearers, understanding that they had seen Elvis Presley's truest moment, not as the king of rock and roll, but as a man who chose compassion over performance, love over legend, and in doing so, achieved the kind of immortality that transcends any gold record or sold-out show.